So the point of this was... Hello everybody, I'm Sarah and I'm a recorder player. Welcome back to another video from Team Recorder. As you can see, I have a very exciting t-shirt on today. That's because last week it was my birthday and my birthday present was this. This t-shirt was made for me by John and he designed it himself. Woohoo! This week's video is all about one of the fundamental aspects of recorder playing. How to hold the recorder. It sounds really simple, but having a good hand position is absolutely crucial to being able to play. If your fingers are in the right position, if your whole body is in the right position, that will mean two things. It will be much easier to play. Seriously, if you have a good hand position, things like will be an absolute doddle, and you will also help to prevent injuring yourself, getting repetitive strain injury, causing problems in your wrists, arms, everywhere. I completely changed my hand position when I was in my second year of conservatorium, so I'd already been playing the recorder for a long time, and I will say this now, it can be quite a long learning curve. It's not something that you can change in one day. Maybe it will take quite a lot of reminding yourself to keep an eye on it, but I promise you it's really worth it. If you can do one thing for your technique, getting a good hand position would be it. As you know, I always love to start these things off with a bit of history. I would say the most obvious thing is to put your left hand at the top, but actually that's not always been the case. If we look at this classic of the recorder literature, La Fontegada by Silvestro Ganassi, on the front, this book from 1535 has a picture of some guys playing the recorder, and as you can see, this guy over here has his right hand at the top. In fact, historically, generally you could choose whether you put your left or right hand at the top. We can also see these pictures from Mr. Virdung. Here you can see that you have the option of putting your left or right hand at the top, and in ye olden days the recorders would have holes going down here, and often they would have two holes at the bottom, and the one that wasn't being used would be plugged up with beeswax. Fast forward to the Baroque era, we're getting to see recorders a bit more like this. By now it is just normal to be playing with your left hand at the top. On most recorders you can actually rotate the foot joint, but I'm going to come a little bit closer, but because you can see that this double hole is actually slanted and the two are slightly different sizes for the tuning, it's really important that you're playing it down here with your right hand. In 1707, Mr. Hotteterre, a French recorder player, wrote a whole method on playing the recorder, and he included a great drawing of how your fingers should be on the recorder. I really like that drawing because it looks like the hands are actually in a kind of good, relaxed position. Okay, let's get into it. How can we ensure that we have the best hand position possible? Just like if you're going to do some sport, music is a physical activity, and it's important to warm up and stretch your muscles before playing. I actually made a video about this, how to warm up the body. Some good warm-ups to do are some shoulder rotations, forwards and backwards on both sides, and also some circles. Make sure you're alternating which arm is crossing in front of you. We're going to do some wrist circles, those fingers moving, and shake it all out. But the most important thing for your hand position is having a very relaxed and natural hand position. Natural. This is how to find the best hand position for you. First, you're going to reach your arm up in the air as high as you possibly can, and you're reaching like this with your fingers, reaching and reaching as high and as hard as possible, and then let it drop. And then take a look at your hand, and it should just kind of be naturally like this. And you can check this by stretching and relax. Stretching and relax. And if you look at your totally relaxed hand, it's not like this. Your fingers and thumb are lightly bent. is your optimal hand position. Let's do it with the other arm. So if we keep our shoulders quite relaxed and drop down, lift your arms up, there we have it. So I'm not holding a recorder right now. I am sitting down, but I'm sitting quite far forward on the edge of my seat. My back is nice and straight. You can see that my shoulders are dropped down. The angle of my elbows is this. My hands are here, so I'm just going to turn. So it's important that your shoulders aren't up, your elbows aren't up. Common problems I see a lot are that the wrists are dropped. If you drop your wrists, you end up like this, and that's not healthy. So you don't want your wrists to be dropped, and likewise you don't want your elbows to be raised up because that's going to be weird. Your arm and hand is actually kind of one relaxed straight line. With the recorder, resource for how to get this nice relaxed position on your recorder can be found in Walter von Hauwe's The Modern Recorder Player Book 1. In this book he gives a very exact step-by-step guide for how to get every little finger and movement onto the recorder. I can really recommend this. I'm going to go through one of the short exercises in this to kind of show you how it can help. So we've already got our nice relaxed hand position. Taking our right hand, you've got your index finger and your little finger. And keeping this relaxed position, you're just going to move your hand to the recorder and put your index finger and your little finger in place on the holes. Wiggle them around, move them up and down, give them a good wiggle. You want to really feel the holes, but take care not to lose that good hand position. Now you're going to close your eyes and move your thumb towards the instrument. Let's have a look, where is that? Now you're going to try and hold the recorder just with one hand. If your thumb is too high, the recorder's going to fall forward. If your thumb is too low, the recorder's going to fall backward. Keep your left hand ready for this one. You don't want your recorder falling on the floor. I try and put my thumb halfway between my index and middle finger, like a kind of rabbit. So when you have this, you are just going to relaxedly let your two middle fingers fall onto the recorder. As you can see, they are way too far over because these fingers are actually very long. So what you're going to do is pull them back slightly. You can push them forward, pull them back, push them forward, pull them back. And in that pulled back position, making sure everything here is nice and relaxed, this should actually be a good hand position. I'm going to try the same for this hand. I'm going to start with my index finger, just place it on the recorder. Let's place these top three fingers there, and then I'm close my eyes and I'm going to try and put my thumb on the recorder. Let's look at how my fingers are on the recorder. They are all pretty much flat. We don't have any of this, no claw-like fingers, but they're all pretty much flat on the recorder. And we want to have kind of a natural apple shape as much as possible. So not a banana, an apple. Crucial to all of this is your thumb position. Where should your thumb be touching the recorder? Now I want you to do something. I want you to relax your hand, close your eyes and touch your index finger to your thumb. Now look carefully at where they touch together. It's actually kind of on the side of your thumb. It's not on the tip, it's not in the middle, but it's slightly on the side. And that is where you want your thumb to be touching the recorder. Check it out. Can you see that? Then we have a very nice rounded like this. I'm going to press my thumb into the recorder. Obviously you don't do this while you're playing, but I'm going to do it so you can see exactly where my thumb is touching. See that? It's on the side. If you use the tip of your thumb, you're going to end up with this. And if you use the middle soft part of your thumb, you're going to end up with this. That's even worse. If you use that nice side part of your thumb vaguely on the top, you have this lovely hand position. And it also means that when you want to do the octave thing, you don't have to make a massive movement like this, but just a tiny. You're barely moving your thumb. The less work you have to do, the more efficient it all is. The most common problem I see with hand position, and this is the problem I have myself, is that your hands come upwards like this, and then you get this side part of your index finger resting against the recorder. That is what we do not want. If your hands come upwards, then your index fingers are kind of restricted because they're pressed against the side of the recorder, and your ring fingers are straining to even reach the holes. So if you're feeling like you can't stretch the recorder, take a look. Maybe your hands are turned upwards too much, and by rotating your wrists so that your fingers are actually perpendicular to the recorder, this can already help a lot. An exercise for this is to finger a C, and then we're going to rotate our wrist up and down. The fingers are going to stay relaxed, but the wrist is going to go up and down. Of course, it goes all over the place, but try and see if you can do this without altering the sound. That will mean that your hands and your fingers are very flexible with keeping the holes covered. We're now going to do an exercise that checks two things. It checks if your fingers are sufficiently relaxed, and it also checks if you have a problem finger that is going to be making leaky air and making squeaky notes. So put all of your fingers on the recorder and play the lowest note. One by one, we're going to lift the fingers up and put them back down. Some fingers will be a lot more difficult than others. Those you can pay a bit of attention to. If you have someone that can help you in this, then you can also do this with a person. John! So John is going to demonstrate this. I'm going to play a low F, and he's going to kind of flip my fingers up and down to check that they're nice and relaxed. There is a mosquito.
Maybe you should check my fingers to see if my fingers are relaxed.
Okay, I'll do that. Pretty relaxed, but it's got to fall back onto the hole. Now that's not an F. Aha. So a little bit of troubleshooting here. If you're trying to play an F and you hear it's slightly higher, then it's probably the little finger. And if you're hearing something like this high, then it's one of the higher fingers. Okay, thanks John. You can go now. One thing I personally do not recommend is putting your little finger on the recorder to hold it. I learnt this as a habit, and it has taken me years to get rid of it. The reason I personally don't like to support the recorder with my little finger, first of all, you're creating an extra movement for yourself all the time. When you want to play with this hand, you have to keep putting on and removing your little finger. That's a whole extra unnecessary movement. These three fingers, you can see, are also muscular-wise linked to one another. So if you are fixing one of them, you're in effect also fixing the other two, which I think is just really unhandy. I think it's much better to work with a good posture, good hand position, and then you don't need. And a fantastic thing you can do for yourself is to play in the mirror. Just keep looking, checking everything looks nice and relaxed. You'll soon see that if something is like, next week I am going to be back with a video following on along these lines, how to stretch your hands to play the big recorders, from the tenor to the basset the great bass, and even the contrabass. I have very, very small hands, and I have learned to play all of these recorders, and I'm going to show you how. And we're also going to look into a few help methods, such as playing with a thumb rest, playing with a sling, playing with a crook neck, playing with keys. If you would like to subscribe to my recorder channel, you can do that by clicking my team recording t-shirt.